What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. I'm here with my dog, my day one partner. Eric, what's the word, man?
Man, it feel good to be back at home, bro. That's the best thing I can say.
Back in Chicago. Where you coming from, man?
Coming from St. Louis.
Coming from St. Louis. You back home on the south side of the city. So look, bro, I've been meaning to get you on the channel for a while. We never was able to do something. But I really want to talk about your background in athletics, etc., right?
Right.
So you've been a football player nearly all your life.
Basically.
When did you start playing football?
Man, I started playing ball like I used to go to Foster Park as a kid, so like little after school programs with the Chicago Park District and all that stuff. That'd be like flag football or like the little Saint Sabina team that we had out there, playing out in the field.
Saint Sabina, Father Flager, Saint Sabina.
Yeah, Father Flag Saint Sabina. They used to practice out there at Foster Park over there on right off of Loomis in A-Tray and all that good stuff. So started my football career there. Transitioning. We didn't have a football team in Turner Drew.
Right.
We was in school, so
We went to Turner Drew Language Academy on 93rd and Princeton, right about 95th and the Dan Ryan over that area.
right. So we didn't have a football team, whatever else. Everything was basketball. So I ended up going through the Park District, and then in the middle of that, I went to Evergreen Park. I ain't gonna say what years or whatever else.
Right.
Saying I was or was not a resident EP, but went from there, transitioned from there, then I went over to Simeon, played ball all 4 years of my high school career, and then from there I had a scholarship and went down to McKendree University down there in Lebanon, Illinois, Division II school, NCAA Division II school.
Got you. Okay, so we're gonna stop you real quick. You went to Simeon High School, right? Simeon Career Academy, correct?
Career Academy.
Okay. So you went to the famed Simeon High School. Now we in Chicago, we know what Simeon's athletic history, the long line of athletes that have come through their program. Historically, right. Now talk about Simeon's athletic history. Like, you know what I mean? As far as Chicago.
You got where I start, you got Benji Wilson.
Ben Wilson.
That played basketball back at his time. And then, you got Jabari Parker, everybody know Derrick Rose. You got Kendrick Nunn that's still out doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Taylor. That's just on the basketball side of things. Football wise, you got Jack Ramsey, Nate Palmer, Fabian Abele. You got Dante Colbert, Dennis Butler. There's some legends and heavy hitters in themselves. Myself, of course, the great late Demarius Reed, Darius Scott, Horatio Banks, Christian Bryant. I mean, the list goes on. I can name almost everybody.
Right.
And even on baseball, the baseball got they own hitters as well. So
right,
can't overlook them either.
Yeah. Then I got to shout out Nick Anderson. Yeah. Came through Simeon. You got a lot of great athletes come through that program: basketball, football, baseball,
and the girls too. People be sleeping on the girls. You got to remember, women athletics. They did their thing too with the track side of stuff. Women basketball was also doing their thing. Softball team. Everybody, like, historically, Simeon has always been a very good, dominant powerhouse, as we call it, sports powerhouse when it came to athletics.
Right.
Even when it comes to even the pong team and cheerleading team and everything else, like, it was a great family-oriented school. It was still built off of athletics, but also family at the same time. So it's a great atmosphere to be in, especially if he was an athlete.
For sure. So we come to high school 07. Yeah. We entered there. During my time, I was at Morgan Park. Morgan Park, a rival of Simeon, right? The Battle of Vincennes. Hey, cut it out. The Battle of Vincennes. So during that time period, I'm a spectator. I'm watching what's going on between both programs. Simeon was, like I say, MP was behind Simeon. I'm gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be for real. Right, I'm gonna say that. MP was right behind Simeon. Simeon was the premier program in the city of Chicago. During your years, describe the success that you all had as a football team.
Historic. Going down to the semifinals, my senior year at least, going down to the semifinals of the state playoffs, having a 10-1 season, we lost to Lake Zurich.
Y'all went 10-1.
Went 10-1, lost to Lake Zurich,
Downstate Illinois team, right?
Yeah. No, actually, so they're up here. They're actually up in the northern suburbs.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
They're up in the northern suburbs. Lost to them, lost to them at Gately and everything else. That's the only loss of the season that we had my senior year.
Okay.
Then even just from that time point, years after us, my brother team, Tim, they went to the semifinals of the state playoffs. They made it another round further than we did. So that's something that's hard to do.
Let me ask you, Simeon 4A.
No, we were 8A.
8A. Oh, 8A. Right. I'm thinking about basketball. Right.
Basketball was 4A. Football wise was 8A. So that's the top of the top and everything else like that.
Has yeah.
Real quick.
Okay. Nah. Has a Chicago and 8A has a city school ever won state?
To this date, not to my knowledge.
No.
And we was on a run forward. That's why I was like, getting the media attention through the Sun-Times, the Tribune, CPS fans. I don't know what other media outlets that we still got currently that's around, but that's why the publications were what they were and stuff like that. Just because we had we was balling. We wasn't just like barely winning games. We was like
blowing teams out.
Blowing teams out.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that's hard to do.
Right.
In most cases. So, and he was good teams. I ain't gonna say like no team was a bad team. He was good teams.
Yep. So I want to talk about this. I'm gonna talk about the individual talents on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I had Rob. Who was y'all quarterback? Robert Gregory. Rob was slinging that motherfucker like with the flick of the wrist down the field. Like I remember that shit. I saw him throwing the football. I say, what the hell?
Great coaching, and a lot of that come from Dante Colbreath, our head coach that worked with
Dante Colbreath was y'all head coach.
Yep. So a lot of that came from him, and just even in the supporting cast around Rob. Because like I said, to have a good quarterback, you gotta have some good athletes around him.
Right.
We all know that just from you watch the Bears a lot of times. We need somebody need help.
Right.
He can't just throw the ball to himself. So just having a good supporting cast around, it makes everybody great.
Right.
Football's one of them teams where it ain't just really a one-man show.
Yep.
It takes a supporting cast to make everything orchestrate together.
Right. Rob got interest from Arkansas,
Mm-hmm.
Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had the backfield. Horatio Banks was a running back.
Mm-hmm.
Horatio went to Ball State. Right. Then who Rob was throwing to?
You got D. Reed, you got Devontae Elsie, you got Darius Scott, Sweaty Brown, Brandon Lloyd. You got some Kadeem Kamal.
Right.
You got some of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a great supporting cast. Carmine Jarman, like legit everybody from top to bottom. So certain packages, just like college. We was a college team at a high school setting. Certain packages, certain plays. His O-line. You can't throw the ball without having terrible O-line.
Y'all had Power 5 O-line, offensive line talent.
Yeah.
Well, who was that?
You got Christian Bryant.
Chris went to
Michigan. And then you got Jordan Diamond that went to Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
You got Felix Abele, which is Fabian's little brother. He was out there, on tackle. And you got Darian Stevens as well. So like you had a good cast.
Right.
We had our other boy, Big Darren, Big D.
Mm-hmm.
He covering the inside with him at guard. So
right.
Like I say, Power 5 talent at a high school level.
For sure. What position did you play?
I played safety. And corner. So I was all around DB. Certain packages that I would come in on. We get somebody else play over top. I'm coming down playing corner. Some situations. I ain't gonna say what the players was. I still remember them to this day.
Okay.
I was all around. Calling the defense and stuff like that. Checking out as a safety, as true safeties do. Moving around, making them my disguises and coverages and stuff like that. But I didn't just, like I said, I wasn't back there by myself. I had D. Reed, D. Scott with me. I had Kurt Young with me.
Reed played both ways?
He went both ways. Him and D. Scott went both ways.
Okay. So what is the job of the safety? What's the safety job per se?
The biggest thing for us, man, is like really make sure everybody lined up. It's essentially the quarterback of the defense. Yeah, the linebacker kind of do a lot of that stuff. Me and the linebacker kind of coordinate everything else with each other. But I'm making sure the linebacker straight. But the safety is like your last line of defense. Like all out. Can't nobody score. Pretty much. You got to be able to come down in the box on some run plays. You got to be able to get back and cover at the same time. And if somebody going up for a ball, knock their ass out, basically. The biggest thing is keep points off the board. That's what we do. If I see something, especially like in Morgan Park, they had the little full receivers out to the left, one in the backfield, trips right or whatever the case may be. I'm coming down, but I've got to be able to, watch exactly what coverage we all in, keep everybody on the same page, just stuff like that. So making sure that the safety is exactly what it sounds like. Like you the last line of defense. So the biggest thing is keep points off the board by whatever means. You think like what Ed Reed was doing in his time, like he running, catching the ball, making interceptions. He running routes just like the receivers is. He all around. He all over the field.
Right.
You know what I mean? You like Bob Sanders and Brandon Merriweather, players at my time at least. Troy
I used to
Polamalu.
like Mike Brown. Used to play safety for the Bears.
Yeah.
Right.
Troy Polamalu. I think when you talk about safeties, you got to throw Troy Polamalu out there. Ryan Clark from the pivot. You got to, definitely throw him in there as well. But that's typically what a safety does. Like, if you know anything about them two players, that's exactly what a safety is.
Okay. So let me ask you this, because I had a conversation about this.
Mm-hmm.
Shiloh Sanders leads the team in tackles. He's the safety.
Okay.
Is it good when your safety is leading y'all in tackles?
I won't say it's a bad thing.
Okay.
It's not a bad thing.
Okay.
Because, like, that means he getting to the ball.
Okay.
He ain't just standing back and just letting anything happen.
Okay.
He getting to the ball. And as a defense, you want everybody flowing to the ball.
Gotcha.
And it could be one of those things where he just probably faster than a lot of other people.
Okay.
Me, I ran a 4.240. So
you ran 4.2?
I ran a 4.2.
Okay.
So was ever ran was a 4.4. But you moving faster than a lot of other people, so you kind of expect to get there a little quicker too.
Right.
And then at the same time, it's not a bad thing to show safety make all the plays.
Okay.
Let's say a play coming out the backfield on the toss. If I'm reading it well, I could already like cheat up. If I'm 12 yards, 15 yards back, whatever my splits is, and I can read the offense, read the splits,
Mm-hmm.
I can come up and start cheating up if I know exactly it's going to be a run play.
Right. Okay.
So it's not a bad thing.
Okay. So then let's talk about this. Let's talk about the recruiting process for you in high school.
Recruiting process for me, man, it's crazy. Because the other thing is I was good in track too.
Okay.
I was a top city runner. My biggest competition would be Darius Smith from CBS, and then Lonnie Washington from I can't think of what school Lonnie went to, but another kid from Kelvin Park that I used to run against all the time.
Okay.
My biggest one was Lonnie Washington, the other kid from Kelvin Park, and then Darius Smith that ran the CBS.
Okay.
Between the three of us, none of us was ever really better than the other. We was always like, I'll win this race. And then another another event, Darius won another one, and then Kelvin, the kid from Kelvin Park, he won another one. So like, we was all top of our prime.
Okay.
Everybody gonna have a good day, everybody gonna have a bad day. But the thing is, we knew what it was.
Yeah.
Like when we ran.
Mm-hmm.
It was good competition, and it was all love at the end of the day.
Gotcha.
Shout out to my boy Darius too, doing good things out here in the world too. So
for sure.
But my recruiting process, I got recruited mainly for football at the collegiate level.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly, it was funny how I got discovered. Academically, I didn't have the best grades, so a lot of my D1 offers walked.
Because you weren't qualified academically.
My academics wasn't where they should have been.
Okay.
That's where they are now in life.
Okay, so athletes hear that. Yeah. Take care of your grades, man.
Grades is something serious.
Right.
With the ACT, your grades got to be this. With the sliding scale, and then like your GPAs, your cumulative has to be a certain GPA as well. So I was right there. I'm always right there on the cusp, but it just didn't work out. But I'm glad everything worked out the way it did. So Coach Harrison from McKendree, and then Coach Polka came up to Simeon and everything else, talked to me and everything else. Like, hey, come play football at Lebanon. Of course, like anybody that's been in Chicago, the only Lebanon you probably ever know is like the one overseas.
Right.
So I was like, man, I'm gonna go overseas and play ball. Like,
right.
Man, it's fun to do now.
Right.
Like back then, you 18, you like, man, overseas,
right.
Let's do it. But anyway, the coaches,
But Lebanon, Illinois.
Right outside St. Louis, probably about 30 minutes east of St. Louis in the Metro East area.
At McKendree University,
right?
McKendree
University.
So what made you ultimately pick them?
So I had a former teammate from mine at Simeon, Lonnie Bugs was there.
Okay.
And he was my host for the trip. So when I came down there on my visit, I had my family down there and everything else. I went down and stayed with Lonnie B. He showed me around campus and everything else. And just talked to me about the school and stuff like that, and just how it is, coming from Chicago and then coming to a different environment, stuff like that, which is something that Coach Dante and them implemented with us in the high school setting, when we started traveling, going out of town and stuff like that, playing, teams across the country, getting you acclimated to not playing in your backyard necessarily, but going to somebody else's home in a different environment.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of times when we play North Chicago and stuff like that, like getting us to travel,
Right.
So getting used to that aspect of it. And also too, getting away from like your parents, just getting away from your everyday life. So ultimately with Lonnie being there with somebody I trust, who I had good success with back in high school, trying to mirror that same success at the college level, I felt comfortable. The school felt like a second home to me. and things like that. And of course, I ain't never been to St. Louis at that point either, even though how close it is to Chicago. I was a big Nelly fan at the time.
We all were.
With everybody had a little Band-Aid under their eye at some point in their life.